Left and next right, then turn right. In a quarter mile, your destination will be on the left.
Hello and welcome back. Now today we are in Quincy, Massachusetts at the USS Salem, also known as the Sea Witch. So come along with us and see what we can see. And it's the last of the heavy cruisers. There is an admission to this ship, which you can get online or at the ship. At the time we went, adults were $12. Active military, veterans, and senior citizens 55 and over were $10. Kids 4 to 12 were $10. And children under 3 were free. EBT, WIC, and Connector Care cardholders can purchase $5 tickets per person. But you do have to bring in, of course, your EBT, WIC, or Connector Care card to the admissions register on the day of your visit. During the time of this filming, the ship was open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., although last admission is 3 p.m., and that is on Saturdays and Sundays between April 13th and November 24th, and also includes Fridays during most weekends of July and August. They do request that if you have groups of 10 or more, to please call and schedule so that they can best serve that larger group. Both self-guided and guided tours are available, but of course the guided tours are subject to tour guide availability, since most of them are volunteers. This Des Moines-class heavy cruiser, nicknamed the Sea Witch, had a very interesting service career. For instance, after her construction, she did a brief visit to Salem, Massachusetts. Then she underwent a 3-month shakedown at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, between July and October of 1949, followed by post-shakedown repairs at the Boston Navy Yard, of which time she then went back to Guantanamo Bay, where she participated in maneuvers with the Atlantic Fleet in early 1950. The Salem then departed the United States East Coast on May 3, 1950, and on May 17th, she relieved Newport News, which was CA-148, and became the flagship of the 6th Fleet in the Mediterranean. She visited ports in Malta, Italy, France, Greece, Turkey, Lebanon, and Algeria, and participated in training exercises. On September 22nd, she was relieved by Newport News and returned to the United States. After 3 weeks at Boston, Salem then rejoined the Atlantic Fleet for maneuvers, and on January 3, 1951, sailed for 6 weeks of intensive gunnery training at Guantanamo. She completed her training off Bermuda, and on March 20th, 1951, she sailed for the Mediterranean to again relieve Newport News as the 6th Fleet flagship. On September 19th, she was relieved by Des Moines CA-134 and returned to the United States for 4 months of overhaul at Boston. As with most ships of her time, this went back and forth quite a few times, and then of note, her 4th deployment was marked by Exercise Wildfest and by the emergency relief work after the 1953 Ionian earthquake. Now, Salem was the first American ship to arrive on the scene and provided relief supplies and assistance from August 13th until her own stocks ran low 4 days later. During this time, she was given the unfortunate task of also helping to recover between 400 and 800 unalived persons of that island. This being one of the reasons why the paranormal investigators and followers truly believe that the USS Salem is haunted. This ship was also featured on Ghost Hunters in late 2016 and was also featured as a haunted location on the paranormal TV series Most Terrifying Places, which aired on the Travel Channel in 2019. The Sea Witch is also famous for being in a couple well-known and notable films. She was used to portray the German Paco battleship Admiral Golf Spree in the 1956 film The Battle of the River Plate. And she was also featured in the 2016 film The Finest Hour. There's a whole lot of history to see here, so how about we do a little bit of a musical tour, and then I'll come back and tell you a little more about the USS Salem. This is the last of this type of raft, emergency raft in the world. The USS Salem also houses the USS Newport News Museum, the U.S. Navy Cruiser Sailors Association Museum, and the U.S. Navy SEALs Exhibit Room. Yes, exactly. It is interesting to note that the USS Salem actually never fired her guns in anger, because her very presence served as a stimulus for peace during those troubled times that came to be called the Cold War. She was what one would call a lady of diplomacy, rather than as a ship to exert brute force. Ordered by the U.S. Navy on June 14, 1943, the USS Salem CA-139 was laid down on the 4th of July, 1945 at the Bethlehem Steel Company's Quincy Yard in Quincy, Massachusetts, and launched on March 25, 1947. She was commissioned at the Boston Navy Yard on May 14, 1949. On May 14, 1995, 46 years to the day since her original commissioning, the USS Salem was recommissioned, this time as a member of the Historic Naval Ships Association. She now serves her country once again with her new mission of teaching people of all generations our nation's rich history of shipbuilding and naval duty.